Hey, everybody, it's Jamie from Lemon Rebellion, and I'm here today to introduce you to Brienne Hennessy. Hey, Brienne.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Good to see you. So, let me tell you guys a little bit more about Brienne. Her purpose is to elevate women's voice health and enhance their self worth. She's a professional, certified, and licensed speech voice pathologist turned vocal empowerment coach with 13 years of clinical work in the specialty of voice, upper airway breathing therapy, and preventative vocal wellness training. She's also the owner of Your Vocal Vitality and the creator of Empower Your Voice program. This helps CEOs, entrepreneurs, educators, and speakers who use the vital asset of their voices to share their message, learn to conquer vocal fatigue, elevate vocal wellness, and tune into the inner voice so that they are heard as their truest selves in professional and personal relationships. And she's one of our presenters at Lemon Rebellion. Yay!
Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. And you paced your voice very well throughout that. So that was wonderful.
I have to admit that as I was speaking, I'm like, I wonder if she's analyzing my voice. Oh man. Well, tell us, so how does working with people on their voice, their physical voice or their projected voice, translate into these changes of how they find their voice and become empowered and have the courage and authenticity to speak up and share their message?
That's a great question. What I find is, unfortunately, most people, women in particular, do not even like the sound of their own voice. So if we start there, and similar to maybe other aspects of ourselves that we tend to be critical about, and certainly for some people, there's no shortage that they feel they can criticize, our voices are so unique to us that the moment we recognize, ew, I don't like the sound of that for whatever reason, your own judgments, someone else has told you as such, and then you are wanting to use the actual physical sound to communicate, connect with people, do your work, that creates what I call a dissonance. And so in that, it becomes really important to look at, okay, what is it about the sound? What is it that you can explore and get curious about? And how can you make sure that that resonates physically, like the sound of our voices resonating through the screen right now, so that that is aligned in a way that is truly authentic to you. People will say to me, as we're doing even some simple seeming, voice exercises or breath practices, oh, that's me. That's my voice. So that really becomes crucial because yes, your voice is projecting through the screen. You are needing it for all these different activities. And I want there to be a baseline of prevention and care to it. But what happens when ultimately you're not even liking what you hear out of it, listening on playback? I think that has the potential to degrade your message. And we're not here for that. You're here to speak up and be heard. So that's what's important to me about it.
Awesome. And for the people that come to you looking for help with their voice, what are some of the problems that they often come to you looking for help with?
I find it falls into two camps, which interestingly goes along with kind of the way I look at it unconventionally is two sides of the same coin. So we have this instrument in our neck and we can physically experience situations where maybe it's not as reliable as we'd expect. We're talking a lot for a variety of reasons, and it just doesn't sound the way we need it to. It starts to crackle. Perhaps it feels achy or fatigued or tired before you're done with your week. So you feel kind of like you're running on fumes. And then other folks will come with the intent of wanting to enhance their confidence in their voice, be able to speak out when they know otherwise, historically, maybe they've gotten nervous or they know that they have something to share, but they aren't feeling like they have had a safe space to do so. So particularly for women, that could be they were shushed as children. They were told not to speak up. They were criticized for being too shrill, too loud, too whatever. And ultimately, if they have shifted their voice away from what's natural to them, once that, again, dissonance is the word I use, it's like a mismatch, really starts to show up physically, that can create issues. But for some, they catch it early enough to notice, I'm not landing, like something's not connecting. I will speak up, but people will either not get it, they'll misunderstand me, they'll talk about my tone being off. That's the important piece where then we go, okay, we're going to look at both sides of that coin and we're going to work to align them together.
Very interesting. Okay. I know I've also heard you talk about the voice being part of our self-worth and a path to wellness. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So for me in my work, I come at it from evidence-based, for my time in the voice clinics over the many years, the last 13 years, my experience in that time, but also my personal journey. And so that speaks to the starting point about 8 years ago when I went through my own self-transformation after a very shocking divorce. And so in that, there was this distinctive time point of prior to recognizing who I was and what I'm capable of, and after. And everybody has something like that that feels like that before and after. So, in that, while I had already been working in the world of voice, interestingly, people would say to me, I would be chatting with them or I would express my opinion, and they would chastise me for my tone of voice. And I would think, well, that's weird and frustrating. And why am I getting so misunderstood? And it would only kind of recreate this issue. And so it wasn't until I had that kind of rubber meets the road, crying on the bathroom floor moment that I recognized I was lacking my own self-worth. I had not seen that distinction. And when that shifted for me, Jamie, it's night and day. I don't use the word transformation lightly. And to me, that is when that happened. So going forward from there, that's when I started to see those patterns in women in particular who would come into the clinic at the time and be talking about, I don't know, I feel like I can't, project my voice the way it needs to, or it feels at that time they were already having physical. Not everybody gets to that point. They are able to identify it earlier, like I was saying. But what came down to it is those who would break through that would be open to recognizing that something in themselves was not embracing their self-worth. The women who were not open to that continued to struggle vocally. And so I just find that a really key point of holistic wellness, which is how I tend to approach my work. And also in that moment of, we all have our own journeys for how we're going to learn to love ourselves and what self-worth means to us. But that is present at every moment. And if you can use your voice to connect to that more deeply, I just think that will have ripple effects in the world.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
What are you going to be doing with us at Lemon Rebellion? Because Lemon Rebellion is not just about hearing, it's about experiencing kind of some of these practices so that we can take away understanding really, for instance, what would voice work do for me? So what are you going to guide us through?
Well, I'm laughing because often when I have folks do some voice practices with me, I get the like, huh, or they're really silly. I'm like, yes, we're going to have fun with it. So I encourage all of you to come with an open, fun mind, be curious about it. And for those of you with pets, it'll be great. They'll give you that like cockeyed, like, what is my human doing? So much fun. So know that, yeah, some of that will be involved. We're going to do some voice work, some breath work. I really like to encourage people to become friendly with their body and how their voice is that resonant entity. And so that will be in the form of like hands-on experiential activities. And so goes beyond just breath work. This is beyond just, I'll just breathe a bit more, my voice will be better. We want to be able to integrate the two. So those are some of the things I'm considering, but definitely excited to bring. It's fun when people participate. So
awesome. Oh, it sounds like tons of fun. I can't wait. And I'm very excited to have you within the Lemon Rebellion. For those of you that are listening again, this is Brienne Hennessy, and she's going to be joining us from September 19th to the 25th at Lemon Rebellion. If you want to hear more from her, make sure to come. She's going to be talking about how to elevate your voice by landing within and guiding us, like she said, to discovering that voice and practicing and using that voice in some fun and unconventional ways. Apparently, your pets might need to also be informed that day something's going to happen. Yeah, awesome. So she's part of a panel of 30 other wellness coaches, life coaches, speakers, practitioners that are joining us for this live online experience that's meant to help equip women to navigate major life changes successfully and turn adversity into advantage by finding themselves, becoming more resilient, and coming into self-awareness and self-love more than before. So Brienne, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, and can't wait to see you at Lemon Rebellion.
Sounds amazing. I'll see you then. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
Bye.